All right, here right now with the great Solomon Wilcots, SiriusXM Radio. Solomon, thanks for being with us. I feel like we get to talk to you every year here on Radio Row. Always so insightful. Love to have you here with us.
Look, thanks for having me, by the way. You guys do a great job, and I always enjoy coming on with you.
We have to ask you first, as a defensive guy, you had a couple of defensive head coaches coaching in this Super Bowl. And so what do you make of that matchup, Vrabel versus Macdonald? And do you feel like this will allow the league to sort of look at what's happening in its biggest game and say, you know what, we don't always need the tight-pantsed offensive coordinator, next big offensive mind person to be our head coach? Do you think that might sway some owners across the league?
I think it should. If they're paying attention, if they know anything about football, I think they should. Both these coaches are excellent. It's not about how it looks. It's about finding a pathway to victory. And you think about what, Patriots have won 16 of their last 17 games. You're talking about Seattle has won 9 in a row coming into Super Bowl 60. So these are teams that rank top 5 in terms of their scoring defense. Seattle's given up the fewest points, 17 points per game. The Patriots giving up 18 points a game, ranked 4th best during the regular season. So to me, it's about the defense. It's not quarterback-centric. Think about this. The Patriots have won all 3 of their postseason games coming into Super Bowl 60, and the quarterback has not played his best. Most of these teams that build everything around the quarterback, if the quarterback doesn't play well, they can't win. And the Patriots are, they're sort of immune to that, and I think so are the Seattle Seahawks. That's what makes this game worth watching. Both coaches are playing chess, not checkers.
When you, as a player, look at these types of coaches we have, because even though they're both defensive-minded, I do feel as though they're a little different. Mike Macdonald, I'm sure, inspires his players in his own way with whatever his message is. But everything I've heard about Mike Macdonald is true X's and O's brilliance, and the scheme is next level. Mike Vrabel, I'm sure he can scheme. But I think his greatest strength is setting a culture, and delivering a message, and being that voice at the front of the room. So as a player, which would you prefer? Would you prefer the X's and O's guy, or would you prefer the quote-unquote CEO head coach?
So think about this. At the beginning of the year, when he was hired at the beginning of last year, Mike Macdonald told his players, close your eyes. Imagine you're doing this. He's talking about the Super Bowl. And now they're here. That's what leaders do. That is big picture, right? He set their compass. He gave them a vision of where they can be. And we all know that if you can see it, then you can make it happen. If you see it, you can believe it. If you can believe it, then it's just going to manifest itself over time. And then 2 years later, they're actually playing in the Super Bowl. So in that sense, I think they are very similar. Of course, I love Mike Vrabel. I'm partial to him as a former player. You and I both know what he did as a player, and now what he's doing as a coach and what he's doing for this franchise. I love the way that he gets back to the locker room to meet every single player and shake their hand before they come back into that locker room after a game and thank them for playing hard for him. He has a way of connecting with players, not just on the defensive side, on the offensive side too. He is a guy that can go to his quarterback and say, here's what they're doing to you, because he knows how the defense is playing. And you saw it, I think, in the AFC Championship game, when he and both Josh McDaniel go to Drake May and say, you got to use your legs, man. They're coming. And they're going to get to you. If you don't get the hell out of there, you got to use your legs. He had the 28-yard run in the second half, and then the game clincher on the bootleg that sealed the deal. So that's really how he coaches. He can give players, I think, the answer to the test and answers that help them to become better players and that help this to become a better team.
The truth of it is, right, both guys can do both.
That's right. That's right.
Deploy that vision for their players and coach them up and give them the little details they need to succeed on the field. There are a couple very young safeties in this game, Solomon, between Nick Emanwari, who feels like he has in some ways just changed the entire look of what the Seahawks are able to do. So big, 6'3", 220 pounds, can use them all over the field. And then you have Craig Woodson on the other side for the Patriots, a 4th-round pick. He's played over 1,000 snaps in a defense where they ask those safeties to do a lot. They're in the deep part of the field. They're playing man-to-man every once in a while. How difficult and how impressed are you by what these two guys have been able to do at such young ages? Especially
Woodson, and from just being a cerebral player and understanding all of the looks and all of the things that he's got to do. At that safety position, the way that he plays it, not only does he have to have a tremendously high football IQ, but he's got to be a great communicator. The motions, the shifts, the checks, and being able to communicate that to everyone to help everybody get lined up. to avoid busting coverages on the back end. That's phenomenal. He's essentially the quarterback for the secondary, much like Devin McCourty was all those years. You've got to be able to process a lot of information. Nick Emenwari is a little bit different because he's asked to do a lot physically. That you have to have great diversification within your ability to cover in man and in zone and then be able to get lined up. He doesn't make all the checks as much as he's the guy adjusting and following the barking orders of Julian Love and some of the other guys in that secondary. But he's so talented. I mean, this guy, when he was coming out of college, we met him at the Combine last year. I say, whoever gets this guy, they're playing with house money. And then to give him to a Mike Macdonald in that defense, and you're playing with Reek Woolen, and you're playing with Devin Weatherspoon. I mean, so both secondaries have at least 3 coverage guys on the back end that any secondary will want. Now, Christian Gonzalez is at the top, right? But all of these guys, Carlton Davis has won a Super Bowl already. And, I love Marcus Jones as my nickel corner. You couldn't ask for anyone better, right? And so I do think these 2 secondaries are, I think, a huge reason why both defenses rank top 5 in terms of their scoring abilities and their ability to keep you out of the end zone.
Do you think Drake May is going to be able to turn it around against the Seahawks defense? We know how talented they are. We're just talking about the scheme with Mike Macdonald. What a difficult challenge that he faces.
Yeah.
Is he going to be able to have his best game this postseason against this defense?
That's the question, right? And he's already gone through a gauntlet of 3 of the toughest defenses you could play against in the playoffs. Jesse Minter's defense with the Chargers, that's a huge test, and he overcame that hurdle. The Houston Texans, I don't know that you could play a harder defense, a tougher matchup. He was battered and bruised in that game. 3 turnovers, but yet he still threw 3 touchdown passes. That beautiful dagger to Keyshawn Boutte in that game against one of the best cornerbacks in Derek Stingley. I think that game more than anything showed you his resilience. And then to be able to beat on the road, to go in and beat a Denver Broncos defense, he did that with his legs. So he showed he could do it with his arm, showed he could do it with his legs. This is going to be an even tougher test. There's no doubt. But that's why we play these games, man. That's the reason why if they win this game, if the Patriots win it, you can arguably, I think it would be arguable, but you could say that he's gone through some of the toughest defenses any quarterback has had to go through to win a Super Bowl. Let's face it, Seattle, Denver, Houston, the Chargers. Have you seen a quarterback go through a tougher row of defenses to win a Super Bowl title? I don't know that I ever have in the history of this league.
I think I saw the number today. The only other quarterbacks who have had to see the top 3 defenses in a league for a given season were in the Super Bowl to get to the Super Bowl and win it were Roger Staubach, who actually ended up losing that Super Bowl back in, that was 1970 or so, and Peyton Manning when they ended up beating the Bears in 2006. So it's very, very rare ground that Drake May and the Patriots are on.
I didn't know that. It's a good nugget.
Wanted to ask you very quickly. The other story in town right now, Bill Belichick will not be announced this week as a new member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. What do you make of that?
Look, I have all the respect for Coach Belichick. I think he deserves a rightful place in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, right? 333 wins. It's not the most. 347 is there. But I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know that anyone, including Coach Belichick, can sit with a straight face and say, I deserve to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't think anyone does. I think that is awarded by getting 80% of the vote. And if you don't get it, we don't get to whine and complain that someone has an axe to grind. I think this is about your resume. And the resume says that he is one of the greatest coaches ever. But also on that resume is not allegations of cheating. It's real that he did it. Mr. Kraft asked him in the documentary. It's right there on tape. He said, I asked him, do we have to do this? And then Belichick said, no, we don't. He said, well, why are we doing it? Because guess what? Mr. Kraft had to write a $500,000 check because of it. Bill Belichick himself had to pay $250,000 because of it. This team lost the first-round pick because of it. This isn't hyperbole. This isn't allegedly that it happened. It did happen. It's on the resume. And just like we were going to talk about the great things that he did, we got to talk about some of the other things that he did. Who coined the phrase, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying? Where'd you first hear that? There you go. Don't even need to answer it. Don't even need to
Was that
answer.
Bill Belichick? Does he get credit for that one?
That's right. He does get credit for
okay.
that. Because I heard it from Patriot players who told me he said it. This is real time, guys. And look, I have nothing but respect for Coach Belichick. In my mind, he's a Hall of Famer. He is going into the Hall.
He is going to get in. That's right.
When did grown men start whining and crying about the things they don't get? We don't whine and complain in this league about, I didn't get on the first ballot. I don't get why I deserve to be first ballot. Stop. He's going in. But you don't get to whine your way in. You don't get to. Now, he's not whining, but there are a lot of people out there doing enough crying for him.
Yes.
Stop it. I'm going to ask you to stop it.
The outrage has been real.
No,
so
the whining.
You hear
the whining.
Solomon Wilcots, stop
The whining has been
Everyone
real.
out there,
stop.
Cut it out.
Just stop. It's
okay.
going to be okay.
We don't want you to stop, though. We have an irrelevant question for you. We're doing this all week with people here on Radio Row, Solomon.
Okay.
Irrelevant question, something our buddy Tommy Karn has been doing with Patriots players all season,
Gotcha.
giving us some tremendous answers. So this is pulled at random. This is not specifically designed for Solomon Wilcots. The question is, what is your favorite team, or who is your favorite athlete that you don't root for? Now, I don't know how you're going to answer this as a media person. I don't know how, if you're rooting especially for one team versus another, but is there anybody who plays for
we're currently in the NFL.
For a team,
currently
maybe?
in the NFL.
It could be any sport. I mean, you're welcome to go off the board.
You can't have a favorite player that you don't root for. That's why they're your favorite player. The two are
I'll give you an example. I love baseball. I'm from Boston.
Yeah.
My family and I, we root for the Red Sox.
Yeah,
who I really like? I really like Aaron Judge.
Okay.
Aaron Judge is
but you don't
amazing
root for
in
him.
every way other than the fact that he plays for the Yankees.
So are we talking about the NFL, or are we talking any sport?
I'm allowing you to go anywhere you want with this.
I'll just say this. I don't have a favorite player that I don't root for. But if there was a player that I would say that I like, okay, win or lose, I'm not going to sit here and cry over it, and that is Matthew Stafford. I've always just loved the guy. I love him as a player, the way that he competes when he was in Detroit. Now, when they were not winning, I wasn't over, sending up a flare for Matthew Stafford. And I didn't lament that they lost in the NFC Championship game, but I love watching him play. I really do. I love watching this dude play. But the outcome of the games, I'm not nearly as invested in whether he wins or loses. I'm sorry, Matt. Win or lose, you can handle that all on your own. I got other things on my plate, okay?
You know what? I think there are a lot of people who feel the way you do, and I think it might be part of the reason, aside from the fact he had a tremendous season this season, that he might end up as the MVP.
He's a cool dude, man. Look, this guy throws no-look passes in football games the way Magic Johnson did in the NBA. Who else does that?
Special
very
talent.
Right?
Before we let you go, we want you to tell us about Koya Therapeutics. What are you doing with
Koya
them this
Therapeutics is about bringing new innovative treatments to help fight this dreaded disease we know as ALS. This is a disease that the late, great Dwight Clark, remember the great catch for the San Francisco 49ers, lost his battle with ALS. Steve Gleason plays for the New Orleans Saints. And there's been other people. Now, look, about 1 out of 400 people in the general population contract this disease. It's a rare disease. However, about 5,000 people are diagnosed with ALS in the United States each and every year. If you played professional football, you have a 4 times likely to get this disease. 4 times likely. Wow. Think about that. And that's why we're here on Radio Row talking about it. I have a good friend of mine who's with me with Koya Therapeutics. He's the chief medical officer, Dr. Fred Grossman. He's delivering this news because they have a novel drug that's in clinical trial right now, and we're doing everything we can to push it across the finish line. Right now, there's nothing on the market that even stops this disease in its tracks, let alone finding a cure. But right now, Koya Therapeutics has a drug that's shown tremendous promise, and while it's in clinical trial phase. And so you can go to the website at trials.koyatherapeutics.com. That's trials.koyatherapeutics.com to find out more information about the clinical trial. If you have a loved one or a friend who's battling this disease, you want to get them into this clinical trial. We're doing everything we can to push it across the finish line to fight this disease.
Sounds like great work that Koya Therapeutics is doing. great work that you're doing with them, Solomon.
Thank
you so much for being with us here. Always great to see you on Radio Row. And I know our viewers and our listeners back at home love hearing from you as well.
All right, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.